On Thursday, I caught up with Ed Lane. He is the play-by-play announcer for Southside Sports Media, and he had a good game on Friday night when Franklin County and Magna Vista tangled. Ed prognosticates the Piedmont every week on the Sports Buffet podcast. Let's hear his thoughts as we headed into Week 4 on the Sports Buffet podcast.
Always love catching up with Ed Lane here on the Sports Buffet podcast. He's of Southside Sports Media. Covers every aspect of the state well, though. Let's start, Ed, with some Piedmont District football. Magna Vista travels to Franklin County. Obviously, a tough game for Magna Vista as Franklin County is no pushover. What do the Warriors have to do to win this football game?
Well, I think it's fairly safe to say that if we were playing by Las Vegas-style rules here, that Magna Vista would be an underdog going on the road against a AAA squad in Franklin County that's won the Western Valley District every year since Chris Jones has been at the helm of that program. Magna Vista has actually kept the ball game close. Now, we know they don't have Harvey Taylor. That actually has led to an issue that I think is really the starting point. It's not the sole issue for Magna Vista, but it's the center snap exchange. The Warriors predominantly operate out of the shotgun formation with the exception of some short yardage situations here and there. They've had some throws that have gone up, down, left, right, and it's not been a pretty thing for Magna Vista. They were able to get away with it last week against William Fleming, a team that still is learning, but a Franklin County team that has a little more experience, a little bit more push, especially on that front four, getting into the backfield, low center snap exchanges. I think that to me is the first point that I see, because you couple that with the perceived size advantage and the reality, which is a size advantage for Franklin County up front, that if Magna Vista doesn't get that situation resolved, it could be a long night for the Warriors.
It's going to be a tough one for Bassett this week as Christiansburg comes into town, and Christiansburg only went to the state final last year. Fell to Briarwoods, but still they're a good football team. What does Jay Gilbert have to preach to his team that maybe Bassett can pull an upset?
I think for starters, continue to do what you've done for the first 3 quarters, because for the most part, when they haven't shot themselves in the foot, they have enough speed on this team and size as well to be in each ball game. But it's the experience in big game situations. As you mentioned, Christiansburg, they've been to the state championship game last year. I know they lost Brendan Motley and Zach Snell. Both of them are gone and trying their hands at football right across the way, actually, at Virginia Tech. But they still have plenty of battle-tested players. Bassett does not. They've been in these ball games. In order to finish strong, which I think is step 2, you have to take care of step 1, which is to put yourself in a position where at halftime, at the middle of the third quarter, after those initial halftime adjustments have come and gone, you're still in the ball game. If Bassett can do that, then they need to go with step 2, which is understanding, hey, we're in this ball game. If we don't make mistakes and we continue to play well, we have a chance to win this ball game.
Before we talk about some other teams that are playing this week, I want to talk about one that's not playing this week or next week. Tunstall has the double bye, which is very odd to me, but anyway, Buddy Brown, I know, is not into moral victories, but I'll tell you, Ed, when I kept seeing those scores last week against Gretna, I'm thinking, all right, when's Gretna going to turn on? When's Gretna going to turn on? Tunstall really gave the Hawks a scare. What is Tunstall doing that makes them for real?
I think for starters, it's quarterback Chris Buckner. I know they put up 14 points last week, and they put up 15 when they won their season opener against Dan River. It's not flashy point totals and numbers per se, but he's playing smart, disciplined football. A guy that spent a lot of time in the offseason, aside from his duties with Coach Shelton on the baseball diamond. He's spent a lot of time studying, and that's something that Buddy Brown has constantly reiterated for Tunstall, that Chris Buckner has been the guy that has stepped up and really wanted to be the quarterback. You combine that with Peyton Ferrier in one wideout spot, moving Evan Huffman to the other spot, Jacob Barnett out of the backfield. They have the pieces on offense to be able to score, maybe not all the time, and it will, but to be able to put up enough points. Their defense is always very fundamentally sound and aggressive. I think you combine that. This is a Tunstall team that has been in a lot of ball games in the past and hasn't finished. They've gotten much closer, especially against a team like Gretna. I know you mentioned that Buddy Brown's not in the moral victories. I think if you're not, it's about as close as you can be to a moral victory.
Oh, absolutely. No question about it. Ed Lane joins me here on the Sports Buffet podcast. Martinsville has probably had the toughest schedule in the Piedmont so far this year with at least a 2-game stretch with Brookville and Cave Spring. Liberty, I think, might be a winnable game for them. What does Martinsville have to do to get one more point than the Minutemen?
Confidence is where it starts for me. You come off of a bye week at the demoralizing loss at the season opener of Brookville. You went on the road to Cave Spring. You're in the game in the first quarter, but Cave Spring really put it on in the second quarter to take that 27-13 lead at half. Their defense stepped up to the occasion. I think for Martinsville, first of all, it's just confidence that the coaching staff and that what you're doing can pay off. I think the second thing for Martinsville really is, I would say, scoring early in the ball game. They've fallen behind early in both contests. They're a run-first team, and if you fall behind early in ball games, it's very difficult when you're almost exclusively a run-based offense to play catch-up. Because even if you start running the ball, you're behind the 8 ball, so to speak, in terms of just time eventually catching up to you. For Martinsville, I think scoring first in this ball game will go a long way to building that confidence and keeping it as high as it can be.
For people that think Stand River is a bad football team, I would say they don't know football. Patrick County comes into Moneta. What are the Golden Eagles going to be challenged with by Patrick County?
You know, I think, for one, this is a Patrick County squad. I don't think anybody's going to confuse them. They're coming off a 48-6 loss to Floyd County, and that was after a bye week, in which they put up 300 yards and 27 points in their opening loss to North Stokes. But they're amped up in every ball game. There is a different attitude that Kenny Perry has installed in this team. I think for Stanton River, you want to do what Floyd County did last week. Get the ground game going early. Run the ball very effectively, because it can set up play action. It keeps a learning defense on their heels instead of on their toes. They can't be proactive as much as they normally would. I think for Stanton River, it's not just scoring first, but it's being able to consistently establish the ground game as a bread and butter to set up a play action pass. Because if you can do that, you have Patrick County's defense on their heels, and their offense is in a spot where they feel more pressure each and every time they go on the field. And I don't know if their offense is ready for that level of pressure right now to be able to pull out a win. I think they can move the ball and score points, but asking either unit to carry you to a victory right now is not easy for a team that's on a 23-game losing streak and needs every unit to carry them to win. I think for Stanton River, utilize that offense and get it going early so that you don't let Patrick County hang around and build that confidence up heading into the second half.
In closing, Ed, as always, appreciate it. Tell me about the tailgate show this week. Tell me about your normal show, and tell me about the game of the week.
Well, normally we're on from 5 to 7 with Southside Connection. It's Monday through Thursday throughout the high school football season. Then 5 o'clock till our kickoff, we have our AllDaysByNelson.com tailgate show, fueled and fed by Steve's Easy Marathon and Deli. We chat with every Piedmont District coach whose team is in action. Also, some guy from ABC 13, I think his name's Robert, maybe Bob. Albus, I think is his name. If my memory serves me correct. And then, of course, we have kickoff, which this Friday is Magna Vista and Franklin County, a real test for where this Warrior squad is at 2-1 on the year.
I think your Piedmont coaches are great. We're going to have to work on that Albus guy and see if we can't get you a little bit better of a guest.
Awesome. I appreciate it. I know your heart's in the right spot.
Well, I try. What can I say? Ed, as always, appreciate it. Look forward to prognosticating the Piedmont with you next week.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure.